Hi all, and welcome to another in the Mindlander series of tutorials here on www.unitycookie.com. And in this tutorial in the series, we'll be taking a look at the major GUI components in the game. So we'll be doing stuff like setting up the main menu, like next and resume and pause, things like that within in the in-game. And just a little bit of also some extra fun stuff using the player prefs options that we have in Unity, so we can save like the score or the player level, things like that, and even giving you a quick little introduction to the time feature. So we're going to change the speed of time in the game, mostly just for pausing it in this case, but you will see quickly all the fun things that could be done with it, such as, of course, bullet time and good stuff. Okay, so with GUI, there are three, I think, just of your best options you can use for GUI in general. First one being just a basic Unity GUI system. Second is using GUI textures and special scripts on them, and the third would be any number of paid plugins and such that you can find online, such as Easy GUI, NGUI. There are others, and these usually don't cost too much, can do a lot of really nice things, but of course there's the cost factor, so we won't be looking into that one or the GUI textures in this tutorial. We'll be just doing the basic Unity GUI setup just because it's the simplest and easiest way to go. With that, Unity GUI is, like I was saying, really simple. It's dynamic. It can change much easier than the others, or I guess other than the paid. And it's fast to set up. The only problem with it that you might see people mention is that it can have a bit of a performance hit if you're using a mobile game, or if you're just really on the edge of your performance budget. It's got a bit of a drawback in that way, but it's in this game especially there'll be no difference, so we'll go ahead with that. And it's just good to know. I use it for a lot of things. Good stuff. Okay, so let's see. We'll go ahead and create a new scene called main menu. Save that under the scenes folder, of course. And this is where we're going to have our main menu, surprisingly enough. In here we'll create a empty game object and call it exclamation point and then GUI. And the exclamation point is nothing technical whatsoever. I just put that at the front so that in the hierarchy it always ends up at the top, no matter how many other things I have in here. Just kind of a nice trick to make sure I don't have to dig through whatever's going on in the level. I can always find that nice and easily. Okay, so we'll create the script then for the main menu. Right click on the scripts folder, go to create JavaScript. This is the main menu. Or actually, yeah, main menu GUI. And open that script up. So once again, we have our basic starting setup here whenever we create a script. However, in this case, we actually do not need any of these, but we will have a function, a new one, on GUI. And this is just like, in a lot of ways, function update, in that it happens every single frame, although on GUI's case, and this is part of the performance issue thing, it actually happens, I believe, twice per frame, and there may even be something else on top of that. So again, if you have a really performance critical game, this can, apparently, I haven't personally experienced it, but it can knock your frames per second down a good bit. Not a problem in this case, for sure. Okay, so we have our function on GUI, again happening every frame, and we want to create some buttons. In this case, just a start new game button and a continue from saved button. So with the on GUI, we can just create them using this. So if, and then GUI dot button. So we're telling it we're creating a GUI button, and we'll go over, I guess, the components of this after we type it out. It's going to make more sense once it all comes together. Basically, the if is saying, if it's pressed, but we don't even need to say pressed or anything like that. So if GUI button, and then we have to do a rectangle. And if you're lucky, sometimes it seems to be round to me. I haven't really looked it up, but Unity or Unisite will tell you what's coming up here in this little area. Otherwise, just try to remember it this way. It's the top corner, sorry, it's the top, the distance from the left, the distance from the top, and then the width and the height. So this is one thing that I tend to end up going back to the Unity documentation a lot to be like, what the heck am I writing here again? Hopefully you guys all have much better memory than me, but so distance from the left, let's just make a test and say 10, distance from the top 10, and this is in pixels. And then the width, let's say we want our button to be maybe 150 pixels wide and 30 pixels tall. And then we just need to put the text that will be in the button, and let's just say I am a button, and make sure we finish up the parentheses. And then inside of this little if, we will have, just for now we'll do a print function just so we can test that it works. Clicked. Alright, save that. Back to Unity, make sure we don't have any red errors down here. If you're getting these yellow implicit downcast bits, don't worry about it, we can just hit clear, no biggie. Okay, no errors, so go up to your GUI object or however you'd like to and just drag and drop on that script. And if we hit play, there we go, button is there. If I click on it, sure enough, it says clicked in the console each time I click on it. So that's as simple as it is to create a button in the Unity GUI. We can do a couple things to make this work a lot better for us. Number one being to make it show up in the editor so we don't have to hit play every time we want to see exactly what our GUI is doing. So there's a little bit of code which I found I guess a while back, and I found it's amazingly useful. You don't really see it very often, called @script execute in edit mode. And what this will do is just like it sounds. If I save this, now go back to my scene, wait for it, there we go. So now this will show up in the edit mode. However, there's some things to this. It will make it so that anything in this entire script will happen in the edit mode. So if you did have a function update, or maybe anything at all happening, especially you'll find out function start can cause some extra issues. It will happen in the editor, which can cause problems. So it's best to use this only on a GUI script that won't have any function update or function start going on, if possible. You can always, just turn it on at times to see what's going to happen, and comment it out as you need to. But in general, try and keep it only on GUI scripts, since that's not really going to cause a problem. Okay, so we've got that working there. Now we want to make this button, we want to make our proper buttons, and we also want to make it show up probably right in the center, look a bit nicer. So we can do some things here. We know that we want it to be basically in the middle of the screen, so we can say screen.width divided by 2. And since this is measured from the top left corner, we don't want to put the top left corner in the center, we want to put the center in the center. So we actually want screen.width divided by 2 minus half of this button width. So in our case, our width here is 150. So it's screen.width divided by 2 minus 75. That's half of 150. And we'll change the top corner to be screen.height. In this case, I'll just say minus 20. Unity is a bit strange in that it actually starts, let's see, this is from the top, distance up. Minus 20 is going to pull it 20, here, I meant to say screen.height divided by 2, of course. Minus 20 is going to push it further up this direction, so 0 is actually up here, and the full screen height is down here, which is a little strange, just the way it is for whatever reasons. That's why I'm doing screen height divided by 2 minus 20 and not plus 20, you might be wondering. I guess we'll see as we make more buttons here. Okay, and actually let's rename this to a proper button. In this case, it's going to be, let's see, new game. And let's make a better print here. So starting new game. And we want a copy of this to say continue game. Oops. And continue game. And this one, of course, we just want it to be the opposite, so plus 20. It's going to go down the screen a little ways. Save that and take a look. And there we go. So now, if I shrink this in or anything, we'll see it stays nice and right in the center of our screen there. Okay, so we have our buttons, they're set up, and we just need to, we won't make them do anything just yet actually. First let's get everything else set up so we can sort of set the foundation for all this. Buttons working, let's go on to the in-game GUI and set up just its buttons, get them testing, make sure they work properly. Speaking of which, just a quick test here. Continue shows, new game shows. Okay, we're good to go. Again, I mean, I always find it useful to just quickly test even the most basic things to make sure later on, once you've added all sorts of levels of complexity, that each level through there is working. So if we move on to our actual game level, make sure we save changes to main menu, of course. We now want to create another script called in-game GUI and a new game object. Same thing called exclamation point GUI. And drag and drop our in-game GUI onto that. And open up the script for editing. So the in-game GUI is going to be a bit more complex. We do need things like pausing the game. We need to have a win and a lose, various bits and pieces here. But we'll try and get through it all and make plenty of sense. So I guess first, pause, the most simple part of this GUI. We need to make the game pause whenever, let's say, the user presses the escape key in this case. So here we will actually need a function update. So I'm going to recreate this. Guess I shouldn't have deleted it. And we're going to use a new input function. So if input.getKeyDown, and then in quotations here we want escape. So this input.getKeyDown is handy in that normally I might have to say input.get the get button or key, I forget at the moment, you know, and then have named something in the actual let's see, the input settings, forgetting, here we go, under one of the axes. And of course it's a little silly to have to set that up for each and every one of the buttons we want to use. So if you just do input.getKeyDown, you can simply tell Unity an exact key and it'll pull it up. That could be, you know, just Z or 8 even, I think, anything like that. And it's a nice quick little shortcut. And if you ever need to know exactly all the options you have, you can just search it up on the Unity docs. And somewhere in here there is a list of all the key codes. There we go. So is there a nice list of all the things you can call up? Just a nice little shortcut. Makes a lot of things easier. Okay, so if we get the escape key, we want to pause pause the game. So let's just do again a quick print command to make sure we're getting the escape key. Print pause game. Hit play, hit escape, and sure enough we get pause game. Okay, so of course we want this to actually pause the game and such. So let's see here. I'm gonna get key down, escape. Here's where we come into the time changing fun stuff. So we'll do time.timescale equals 0. And the reason we want to do this is just it's sort of a quick and dirty way of making sure that the game just totally pauses. Input, anything like that won't make a difference, so they can't be moving their ship around on the pause menu. Like I said, just a nice, quick, easy way of doing it. And of course, pauses the player ship right in midair. The particles and everything will look real nice. So we pause it, and then we're going to want to bring up a menu that's going to show resume and quit. So I'm going to use a sort of GUI mode selector that I will set up later here. So I'm going to say GUI mode equals, let's just say paused. And of course we don't have this this variable GUI mode set up yet, so we have to create it. Variable GUI mode, and this is just a string, nothing fancy. It'll start off being in-game actually. So we've set that, and now we need to actually create some GUI here as well. And I'm just going to semi-cheat and copy over what I had from main menu so I don't have to set up all of this again. Okay, so in this case I want two buttons again, but they're going to say resume game and quit to main menu. And I'm just going to fix my print commands to make sure everything works okay. So if we resume the game, in this button's case, we want to, of course, set the time scale back to full. So time scale equals 1. And we'll want to set the GUI mode back to in-game. One thing I found out the hard way is that anytime you set the GUI mode, the time scale, I mean to say, even if you load into a completely different level, the time scale will remain the same, which can cause a lot of troubles if you don't know what the heck's going on. So if you've changed it, make sure you change it back, even though in this case, when we quit to the main menu, we'll actually be loading in a completely different level. We still need to make sure we set that time scale back, so we'll put that in there. Now we've kind of been wondering probably what the heck this GUI mode is going to do for us, and in this case I'm just using this as sort of a state machine, I guess you'd say, by putting some if-then conditions in the on GUI. I can control what buttons are actually shown and what the mode of this is. So in the on GUI I'm going to say if GUI mode equals paused, and put both of these buttons inside of that. So now only when the GUI mode equals paused, then we will see this. Let's give that a quick try. Oops. 2 equal signs. Why does this keep happening? Sorry about that, folks. There we go. Okay. So get rid of that yellow, doesn't matter. If we hit play, now if I hit escape, that pops up. We can resume the game. If I hit escape, it would quit. If it did anything, it does that. So we're good to go. That much is working alright. And I guess then we'll want to add in the ability to win and to lose. So it gets a little more complex here in that we're going to have to now make the landing pad and the player ship connect to this GUI, kind of like we did in the previous tutorial in connecting the landing pad to be activated by the ship. So let's go ahead and take a look at their scripts. So in the landing pad GUI, landing pad script, we'll need to basically just check when it's activated. We need to tell the GUI that it's activated, and then the GUI will need to do some checks to see, is this the total number of landing pads? If so, win the game, hooray. Otherwise, just keep adding them up. So to connect to the GUI, let's do a var GUI colon. So it's going to be a type, a custom type here. Of course, we're just going to connect exactly to the script name, in this case in-game GUI. In-game GUI. And then we could, on each and every one of these landing pads, drag and drop in the GUI to its connection there. But I'm going to make this a lot simpler. In the start, just auto connect to it by saying GUI equals game object dot find with tag. And again, with tags, just like we used some of this for the collisions last time, it's a good way to just really nice and cleanly sort of search through the scene. It's much better than using find by name. The tag is really efficient. Good way to do it. So find with tag, and we'll say GUI, and that's a tag we'll have to create in a moment. And then when we want to get component, so we want to get the script that's attached to it, and it's called in-game GUI. Save that, and let's set that actual GUI tag so this works properly. Okay, and let's hit play and see if this connects. So currently, if I select landing pad, GUI says nothing, and when we hit play, boom, it connects right in instantly. Let's make sure the other one has it. Yep. So that's one nice way if you ever need to connect scripts or just anything up. Doing it in the start function is a great way, so you don't have to go through, especially maybe you have a level or something with 20 different landing pads, and you definitely don't want to have to do that for each and every one, drag and dropping it in. It works, of course, but there's definitely a better way if you do it via this method. Okay, so we have the GUI attached. Now what we're going to want to do in the activate function, we're going to want to call a separate activate function on the in-game GUI. So we'll just do GUI dot LZ activated. And what this will do is call a function called LZ activated on the GUI script. So if we go over here, I'm going to actually copy this. Naturally, we'll have to have a function called that here, or you're going to get an error. So function LZ activated. And just to test, let's do print LZ activated. And now if we hit play, maneuver our very tiny and hard to see rocket right over onto that landing pad. Kabing, there we go, LZ activated. Okay, so our scripts are connecting, doing what they ought to. Now we want this to actually do stuff, important things. So most of all, we need it to first update a variable saying how many have been activated, and then check that against the total LZs in the level to see exactly, if we've completed it. So let's say num activated plus plus, and the plus plus is just a simpler way of saying +1. So you don't have to do num activated equals num activated +1 or anything like that, just plus plus. You can do minus minus for the same thing, and it'll just go down a level. So nice and simple. Once we have that, we'll say if num activated equals, say, total LZ. We're going to call a function called win. So we need to create these variables, num activated and total LZ. We'll go up to the top and do that. These are just integers. They're going to be, anywhere from 0 to however many LZs you have. So that has something to set there. And then we need another function that we're calling here called win. Oops. So anytime, again, the player lands on a landing pad, this function will be called, and that's going to add basically +1 the number of activated LZs. Then it's going to check if the number activated is the same as the total LZs in the level, and if so, of course, we win. So in the win function, we're going to just change the GUI so we pop up a notification saying, alright, we can go to the next level or quit to the main menu. So we'll use the, go back to the GUI mode we have set up here. So GUI mode equals win. And we'll create a just another mode up here for the GUI, in this case for win. So I can just copy and paste that nice and easily and change the bits and pieces to match what we're doing here. So on win, I guess we'll want to go to the next level. Will be the first button, and the second will actually stay quit to main menu, so that's fine. I'm just going to change my print command real quick here. And that's good. We're going back again to correct time and all that. Okay, that looks fine. On win, actually, we will want to also set that time scale to 0. Just so, of course, when the player wins, they're not able to keep moving the ship or anything like that. Gotta make sure that all works and they can't break the game. We'll also add a function lose. Gonna have to have that for when the player crashes into something and explodes. So GUI mode now equals lose. And of course, we still want the time scale to end up at 0. And another GUI mode. This one being lose. And so the first button here will be retry level, and a simple quit to main menu also. Again, fix my print. Oops. And that's set. Okay, so we've got the buttons set up. They should all work okay. We want them to actually, again, do something here. So we'll move on to actually loading up the levels. And Unity makes this, just like just about everything else, super simple. So let's see, we'll go first with quitting to the main menu. If we go back to the build settings, so File, Build Settings, we actually, I guess, still need to add in our main level in there, so we'll go ahead and do that. Let me go back 1 second. Oops, looks like I've done something wrong here. I have 2 function wins somehow. Take that out, not sure how that happened there. Okay, so right, we're going to go back to the main menu. Make sure you save any changes if you've made any here. So back to the main menu, and then we need to go build settings and add current. And we have these integers here at the end, 0 and 1, that correspond to each of the scenes in our level, in our game, I mean. And I'm going to drag main menu up and on top of level 1, or whatever other, you probably have many more levels than that. Just so main menu is level 0, so the root menu or the base one, and then everything else comes after that in order. So that's good there. We can just close out of that. And then going back to the script, let's see, where's my quit to main menu? So now here I want to say application.load level, and then all I have to do is type in the index, so in this case 0, because I know that's the main menu. You can also in here type in directly main menu, although if you accidentally change the exact name of the menu or you move things around, it's just can cause trouble. So I tend to stick with using just the integer for that, the index. So load level 0, that'll bring us right back to the main menu. Save that, and we'll give it a quick test. Go back to level 1. So now, if we did everything right, if I hit escape, quit to main menu, sure enough, loads us right back to here. So that much is good, and the others should be just about as simple. I'm going to keep this application.load level part, and for next level, and actually one quick thing, I'm going to move this down below the time, just in case. Probably a little over paranoid, but I want to make sure this time scale gets reset back to 1 before we load in the new level or anything like that. So again, copying that, and I'm going to place this right below there. And in this case, if we're going to the next level, we want to basically take the currently loaded level plus 1, so we're going up to the next, which is pretty much just as that sounds. So application, oops, application dot loaded level +1, and that will take us to the next level in the series. And let's see, we need the main menu here also, and the quit to main menu. For each of these quit to main menus, of course, we'll just quick copy paste that right in there. If we're going to retry the level, it's obviously something like this one in the next level, except that we're just going to load exactly the loaded level. So we'll just restart that exact level. Okay, so we have a retry, we have the quit, and we have the next all working nicely. In the main menu, do something the same. So when we start a new game, we'll want to application.loadLevel, and of course I guess this is just 1. So we'll always load the very first menu, first level right away. We'll work on this in just a bit when we get to the player prefs and saving your character level and such. But for now, just application.loadLevel1, your first game level in the main menu GUI. And let's give that a test. Oopsies. So opening up main menu, if we hit play, and new game, yep, takes us right to where we need to be. We can resume the game alright. We can quit to the main menu, go all the way back. Keys and such are still functional. Oops, exploded. Hit that a little too hard, so that does remind me though, next we need to move on to making the ship trigger the lose function when you explode. So if we go into the player controller, we need to do something the same as with the landing pad in that we set it up to connect to the GUI here. So I'm just going to grab and copy paste this, same in the function start and the var GUI. Oops, Control C, and I'll just overwrite it right into there. Okay, so just the same, we now have our connection to the GUI that should come in automatically, and we'll need to, in the explode function in the player controller here, just set up a connection to the GUI so that it loses. So GUI.lose, and we're calling the function lose just like we did in landing pad, GUI.lz activated, and in this case we already have that set up. No? Okay, we'll set it up now. Kind of remember doing that. Okay, so function lose, and I see now I had 2 wins. I thought I made the lose, but I never renamed it. So you might already have this correct if you were listening but not doing the wrong things I said. Either way, so we have a function lose now we've created, which is what the player controller is going to connect into as soon as it explodes. It'll tell it to go kaboom. One thing here, when the player hits and explodes, if we zap the timescale to 0 right away, the explosion will only happen for about, however many frames per second you got going there, anywhere from 1/10 to 100th of a second. So we want to make just a quick wait here. I'm just going to say yield wait 4 seconds, and maybe just 3 seconds. Just enough time for the ship to fully explode. Save that. Oh, I do not know why that keeps happening. There we go. So let's test if we explode properly. Just up and whammy that back down so it explodes, and 3 seconds later, there we go. It's calling the wrong GUI there. Of course, I simply forgot to change this to lose. Give that another quick try. Kabam, 1, 2, 3. And there we have retry level and quit to main menu. So retry, sure enough, just restarts the game. Our quit works okay. Alright, so we have the player exploding. We have the lose function. Looks like we just need to set up the player pref so that you can actually save out where or how far your player has made it through each of the levels, and then they can continue their game or start a new one. So for this, we'll go back to the main menu GUI, and actually, just in case, I'm going to also load up main menu in the Unity scene viewer there. So we'll want to basically just load up where they currently are, which is just as simple as saying player prefs, and then basically we're going to just make this a comment code for now. Sorry about that. So get the player level and load into that. So whenever the player manages to complete a level, we want to right away save out into these player prefs variables, which is something that's stored. If it's on a mobile device, it's stored right on the device, or if it's on the web or a PC or something, it's stored into, I think, actually the registry. But this way they can, just quickly and easily save how far they are. So again, anytime they finish a level, we want to save out what level that is and let them load back up into it. Actually in the in-game GUI, on the function when, this is where we'd want to right away set the player press value to the level that they're currently at. So we'll just do player prefs dot set int, and with player prefs you can do two things, either integers or strings. So you can't save complicated objects into it, of course, but it's always more than enough. Usually you're using this to, like in this case, access a score or something, or maybe an index for an array. Either way, just integers or strings. And it works by first, in quotations here, you put the name of this. So I'm going to say player level. Oops. So that's the name of the variable. And then the actual variable will set to application.loaded level +1, of course. So that's the level we're currently in +1, which is going to be the, if they've just beaten this one, if they hit continue game after restarting this game, they'll go on to the one that they would have if they click next. So semicolon at the end, of course, and now we have that. So we can go to the main menu GUI, and we'll say application.load level, and here we can just pull that right out. So player prefs.get int, in this case we're pulling that int that we just saved, or that we will save whenever they can win a game. So get int player level. And here it's important that we actually make a quick check that this integer actually exists. So even before showing this continue game, let's put an if around that, and we can check if that exists by saying player prefs dot has key and the name. So now this will only allow us to, or actually it will only even show this continue game button if there's actually been some save into the player level. Save that, make sure nothing's broken. Sure enough, something is. Where are we at here? Oops, forgot a parentheses on the end there. And capitalization. Okay. Let's just hit play and see if that. Still have a continue game here. Oh, you know why? Because when I was rebuilding or building this game the first time, I must have saved out that player pref already. So I have that key, but for you, the continue game shouldn't show up unless you've somehow already, set it up as well. But shouldn't be a problem. So the player pref should only show up if this key exists, and we are setting it in the in-game GUI. So when they win, it'll automatically go to that, and otherwise in the main menu, they'll load right into the first, of course. One last thing we'll want to do is just make sure when they start the first time, in case they've already played it before, of course, that the player prefs, we set the player level, or better yet, we can actually delete that key so that whenever they start a new game, the continue game doesn't show. I guess that's actually alright as it is, so we'll just go ahead and set the player prefs. Set int. Set that level to be 1 right away, just in case. That way they can't accidentally end up skipping forward and having this continue button work incorrectly. So now that will skip them, bring them right to the first level. Just go ahead and do a quick check through on a few of these things. So we have new game, bring us in here. We're able to explode, which will bring up the retry or quit. Both of those work properly. Continue game is something the same. And I can pause the game and quit from it, and the win and such works as well. So there you have it. We have a totally playable game, not quite the prettiest one yet for the GUI, but we're gonna have to work on that. This tutorial is getting a bit long as it is. We'll definitely go into how to make this look nicer and set up actual GUI textures for part of your menu as well, for like the titles and things like that. Still missing a few other key elements, audio, better camera, score, so keep watching the series and we'll have a finished product very soon, I promise. Thanks for watching.